Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Adrenal Fatigue Podcast. I'm Danielle Zeese, and I'm joined today with the co-founder of the Adrenal Recovery Collective, Angela Rocchio. Hi, Angela.
Hello, Danielle.
So today, guys, we have a really, I think, important conversation that we want to have with you. It's something we've struggled with in our past, and we know a lot of you guys have struggled with this too, and it's symptom anxiety. So what we mean by that is when you're experiencing physical symptoms or emotional symptoms even, it could be something like anxiety, depression, when you're experiencing these symptoms and you start to become more of like a hypochondriac, you become very body aware, especially when you've struggled for a long time. We tend to become like very body aware of like what's going on with our physical and emotional state. And then if something doesn't feel right, we have this tendency to like become even more stressed about it. And it kind of creates a vicious cycle in itself. And so being stuck in this state where we're always worrying about how we feel and if we're okay and if we're having a heart attack or if we're going to die, going to all these worst case scenarios can be scary, and it keeps our bodies stuck in the fight or flight state and keeps us stuck in a state of chronic stress, which heaven knows is not supportive to our adrenals. So let's have this conversation today. Angela, you're an expert at this stuff, at helping us shift our mindsets when we're feeling stuck or blocked or circling around in thoughts that aren't productive to our recovery and our healing. So I think you're the perfect person to talk to today about this.
Cool,
So,
let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really easy for us to go down that road, but there's some simple, quick things we can do to shift out of it. Scientists have proven that there's no difference in the brain. There's no difference between anxiety and excitement. It's all about how we perceive it.
That's such a cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
It's all about perception. So, if you tend to be like me, for me, I was a pessimist for most of my life. If that tends to be you and no judgment, then this is something that could totally change your emotional state, your physical state, if you learn how to, some of the things I'm going to share with you today. And we get it that maybe this is even who you are. Maybe since you've had adrenal fatigue, you actually have just had this, what we're calling symptom anxiety. So I'm not saying this is something but for some of you who might be listening, you might have had this your whole life. Some of you might be a result of your adrenal fatigue or hormonal imbalance. So
yeah, I love that. I never had heard that there's no difference chemically between anxiety and being excited. And I just had this moment where I thought, what if instead of thinking of ourselves as anxious people, we told ourselves, anxious and excited, they kind of have like a different emotional way that we think about them. Excited is more positive and anxious is more negative. What if you just stopped saying that I'm an anxious person and you started saying like, I'm an excited person, like I'm excited all the time.
Yeah.
And then just work on calming down your excitement rather than calming down your anxiety.
Yes, it would be so much more fun, right?
I mean, our anxiety shows up in different ways. So for some people that might feel a lot more challenging than it might feel to others, but just something fun to play with nonetheless.
Exactly. We can talk about this more later, but definitely there's a part where the judgment comes in and can create the emotional state, because the thoughts are what creates the emotions, which is what creates our physical state sometimes. So that's kind of what you're talking about, the vicious cycle. So we can help, even this it might be symptom anxiety, we can still help break the cycle by some of these things we're going to talk about today.
Right. And one thing I want to just mention, especially for the women out there, when we have our monthly cycles, one thing that we always talk about is just the importance of tracking. If you are still having regular menstrual cycles, and even if you're not, having an app and just cycling where you're at can give you a lot of information, because when we struggle with adrenal issues and there's hormonal imbalance that goes along with that, oftentimes these hormonal fluctuations give us periods within a month where we tend to be more anxious, and we can become more like a hypochondriac in regards to our symptoms. So they might seem elevated, or we might be like more aware of what's going on and make bigger deals out of them. So if you have that awareness and it's coming, I think this is a really wonderful thing that you can, like a power that you can harness, because then kind of gives you that safety blanket and that security, knowing maybe I'm not having a heart attack. Maybe I'm having this heart attack right when I ovulate month after month. And like, I'm just kind of seeing it as normal, but I'm not putting it together that it's happening with ovulation or it's happening right before my period. So I think it's really important to track when these feelings come, just to be able to look back and kind of be your own detective and see if there's any links that you can track or put together with that information.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to add on to that. I think it's another example I wanted to give was sometimes when some people have the symptom of dizziness or when they're changing hormonally. And I know I have this sometimes. And I think we can easily go down that road again of like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm feeling lightheaded. And what if it was just your body telling you to slow down? And what if our monthly cycle was actually like this beautiful opportunity for us to learn how to slow down? And you might be that, like me, like someone that wants to create and do so many things in a day, and like that's really a lot of fun for you to keep doing, and that's totally okay too. But what if we were given this opportunity every month to like really just hone down, ground ourselves, and just sort of be in more of like a reflective mode? So I just wanted to share that because that's one of those things that you can easily get scared about, or shortness of breath, things like that might come around certain times of the month.
Yeah, or feeling really tired and then worrying about why you feel so tired. But if you know
Right.
what's coming, then
Yeah.
it can give
So
you that
preparation,
understanding.
right?
Yeah.
Like preparation and awareness is what we're talking about. I love it. And to also like be with the emotion that you might feel, like the floods of emotions that might come up. Often we look at those as bad because maybe they don't feel good or they just feel different. And again, that is a thing that too, that we can harness our power by looking at it in a way of like, oh, okay, maybe right now I'm feeling a little bit, there's a lot of intense emotion right now. And to acknowledge the emotion and sort of be with it long enough to allow it to subside, because it's the resistance when we don't want to look at it, when we resist it, that it actually perpetuates and creates a cycle. So
Yeah. Angela, you always talk about the importance of asking questions. And it's something that, we do together a lot in the Adrenal Recovery Collective. But what you just said got me thinking. And it's like, when you feel a symptom coming on, I think it's almost easier for us to, instead of asking our bodies, like, okay, body, what's going on? What are you trying to tell me? Tapping into our own intuition. It's easier to go to Google, right? Like it's almost easier to go to Google and be like, tingling, or like heavy feet, or whatever your symptom is. You start Googling your symptom, and that oftentimes comes back with like the worst possible case scenarios. And then it's easy to take on almost that it's cancer or it's MS, or, you go down all these different paths of worry based on what you're reading. But we're doing that before we even check in a lot of the times with our own selves, right?
mm-hmm.
And
And
so,
sometimes you have to fake it until you make it, right? It's the old saying. Sometimes you just have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm totally fine right now. One thing I remember happening a lot, we get a lot of comments about people having these intense emotions right before they have a bowel movement. And I don't know, Danielle, I'm not sure, one thing I want to say about it is like, for me, when I have something like that going on, I look at it as like, oh, my body's like ready to cleanse and it's getting rid of something really powerful. So you see the difference that like, even though I don't know what's going on, I automatically go to, oh, my body's about to like get rid of something that's been causing maybe some harm. And by letting it go and having this like kind of build up right before it, maybe this is like this is an opportunity, and I'm actually getting rid of something that has been needing to be, eliminated for a while anyway. So something like that. That's a really good way to start thinking about this and how you can shift it.
yeah, I said the other day, and I know that it doesn't always feel this way, but I was saying that like your symptoms are actually so cute. And I know your symptoms don't feel cute, but I mean, it's cute that,
like that
our bodies are so, our bodies can't speak English to us. You can't be like, hey, Danielle, like, that's not working for us. We don't like gluten. Your body's going to tell you in a different way. And so I think if we think of it like, wow, we have this like amazing thing that we're in that can communicate with us. We just have to listen. And so all of our symptoms are our body talking to us in some shape or form. And
love it.
we just have to step back. I know a lot of us are busy, and a lot of us, like, it can be scary, you know, and it can be challenging. I think too, when we know that there's some hard lifestyle stuff that we need to make that we might be avoiding, it's easy to not really want to like go there and do that work. So it might feel easier to turn to something like Google and just get that like quick, oh, well, that's what it is. It's just that. But even if it is just that, and it is that thing that you're reading about on Google, it's important to just like ask those questions, like you always say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to talk about that. Go back to that for just a moment. And when we talk about asking questions, a lot of times people talk about having mantras or positive statements that they say to themselves when they're thinking negative thoughts. And so the questions that I'm talking about just take mantras to a different level. I think they're more powerful, but I always use both with my clients, see what works best for them. But in case mantras don't always work for you and you're the type that's like, I'm so tired of repeating positive statements because I don't believe it, and so it doesn't feel right and real, so it doesn't work. So you might want to try something like, what would it take what would it take for this to change? What would it take for my emotional state to change? What would it take for me to think differently about this? Maybe the first step is just what would it take for me to think differently about this? Wouldn't it be nice if, that's another good one. Wouldn't it be nice? I can't wait for when I can wake up feeling rested and excited for the day. So those types of questions. So we're not looking for questions like why, like trying to figure something out. That's not what we're going for. We're going for things that create sort of an energy of hope and possibility and creating something different.
I love it. I love that so much, because I know a lot of you guys out there, and like me, this resonates hard with me. It's not always easy to say these affirmations when we're feeling like really heavy about something or really concerned about something. It's really hard to just be like saying these affirmations and fully believing them when we're in that state. So when you ask a question, like Angela was saying, you don't have to believe anything. You just have to open yourself up to hope and inspiration. Okay, so I think that is something transformational that we can all use. But let's just recap what we can do when we're feeling that stress and we're feeling that anxiety creeping on in regards to our symptoms, Angela.
Yeah, so number one is to acknowledge. Don't push it away as best you can. I know sometimes it can feel yucky and it's hard, but one, acknowledge. And two is to think about a question or a statement. Again, it doesn't have to be positive. It can just be neutral. It can be like, wow, this is a really intense feeling right now. What else is possible? And so that's something you can do. And then, or ask the question, what would it take? Wouldn't it be nice? Those types of questions. And then I want to share one simple thing you can do that takes literally 1 minute, and it's my anxiety releasing breath. So let's finish off with that. What do you think? Shall we?
Yeah, it's always good to have that functional thing, like despite all the chaos, like something that you can just do in that moment to calm down.
Yes. So try the questions, try the reframing. That it's really about cognitive restructuring. That's comes from cognitive therapy. So that's proven, it works. But if you want to try something else, this is really fun too. Okay, so you're going to you can ground yourself if you have the moment, but you feel a thought, you feel an intense thought, or even already to the point of feeling an intense emotion, right? And you're just basically going to take a deep inhale, if you can, from your lower belly. You're going to take your shoulders up by your ears while you do that and kind of suck in as much air as you can into the lungs. And you're going to exhale with a sigh and just allow some of that tension to fall down your body and out your toes, down into the earth, and just like let the earth absorb it. It can handle it. So let's do that one more time. So just ground your feet, taking a deep inhale from your lower belly. Inhale, shrug your shoulders up by your ears. Feel the tension, just be with it for a moment. And exhale with a sigh. And that exhale is so powerful for the nervous system. So
Yeah.
give your nervous system that beautiful gift.
I love that. And I'm really visual. So I like when I do that to like imagine all that anxiety in my belly. I'll like the symptom, like bundle it up and exhale it out with the out breath. That's
Yay.
what I do like to do to boost it a bit. Thanks,
So
Angela.
simple, but yet so powerful, the little things sometimes. We don't have to meditate for hours. It doesn't always take that. So I hope that this was helpful for you all. Thank you for joining us. That was such a fun chat. And I feel like we could talk about it for a long time.
Yeah,
But
and wherever you're watching it, if you have any questions or comments about it, just post below. We check them and we respond back. So let's keep the conversation going. You can join us in our Facebook group. We'll put the link below too, but let's keep this conversation going. I know a lot of you guys struggle with this. I think it's so important, and it's a practice, right? It's not always easy, but the more we do it, the better we get at it. So thank you, Angela, for sharing that wisdom with us today.
Thank you too. And remembering that we love supporting people in this holistic approach. If this is something that you would love to work on, is kind of keeping you stuck, then you know where we are. Come find us. We'd love to support you however we can. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Bye.